What's up guys, it's Dev. Today, I want to talk about racing games. More specifically, kart racers. Is that what they call them? Like, is it kart racers? Like when it's like a bunch of mascots like going ahead and like just racing? Or is it not kart racing? I'm not really sure like what to call it, so I'm just gonna say they're kart racers. But the specific kart racer we're talking about today is one that's coming out soon-ish. There's currently not a release date, but it's heavily implied it's coming out this year, but it's Sonic Crossworlds. I was able to get access to the closed beta, and it was pretty fun. There's a few issues here and there. Again, it is a beta, so they were just probably testing the game, but overall, I had a really nice time with it. But anyways, the point of this video is to actually talk about what characters they could add, or that I personally want to see, in Sonic Crossworlds. And some of the karts, kind of. I'll sprinkle them here and there. So let's start with who's already in the game. We got Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Eggman, Shadow, Rouge, Omega, Silver, Cream, Big, Vector, Espio, Charmy, Zaz, Zavok, Blaze, Jet, Storm, Wave, and Eggpon for some reason. I forgot to mention Metal Sonic and Sage are also on the base roster of this game, just a little editor's note. Shout out to all the 2 Eggpon fans out there. You guys got in, hooray. Yay. With this current roster, this is a pretty good lineup, especially with the Babylon Rogues joining. But I want to suggest a few more because I feel this roster is a little too safe. So, I have some picks that might either be controversial or people might agree with. So, here we go. I feel the IDW Sonic characters need more love. I think Surge and Kit would actually be straight fucking fire to be in this game for their first video game debut appearance. Surge is probably one of my favorite Sonic IDW characters. I know, very original opinion. And I think Kit is pretty cool too. He's not my favorite, but I think he's pretty cool. But to see a fully official rendered 3D model of Surge and Kit, and by extension the next 2 that I'm going to mention here, would literally be so cool. Like even with full voice acting. I know in Sonic Dash they have Surge and Whisper and Tangle, but a fully HD 3D model, like please just give that to me. But I mean, aside from those characters, like, Kit isn't in Sonic Dash, and I feel like that's kind of criminal considering Kit and Surge are kind of like a package deal, but I guess it is what it is. Anyways, I also feel that Whisper and Tangle should definitely be in this game as well. Like, honestly, thank you to Ian Flynn for even caring about these characters so much to also create new ones that are just as good as the ones that we already know. Honestly, peak performance. Also, might be a slight spoiler, but can we please get Phantom Rider from the current IDW arc? That would actually be perfect, especially since the Extreme Gear is in this game. That would be amazing. Thanks, Sega. Alright, so now with the comic characters out the way, now let's move on to something that could actually possibly happen, or has a higher likelihood of happening, in this game. I lied, they might not, but keep that in mind in a second. When you think of current classic Sonic characters, the first 2 that are probably going to appear are Mighty and Ray. But what if I told you that's 2 motherfuckers safe, even though I feel like they should still be in the game? Who this game really needs is Bark the Polar Bear. Me and all the other 5 Bark fans, please rejoice, because if he is added to this game, we will be eternally grateful. And they can also add Beam, and then that'll be the first time that these guys showed up in a game since Sonic the Fighters. And just to round it out, let's go ahead and put Knack or Fang, or whatever you guys call him now, in this roster as well. I think he'd be pretty cool, and I'll pretty much have all of the quote-unquote like classic characters all together. And you guys can go ahead and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, if his name is either Fang or Knack. I don't really remember. I just grew up calling him Knack, so that's what I'm gonna call him. Okay, so now let's get into my personal favorite section of this list, the crossover characters. Now in this section, I am gonna be mentioning different vehicles that could show up with some of these characters. So I just wanna put that out there because I haven't talked about vehicles at all yet. So, since the Sonic Racing series has had crossover characters before, I just wanna kinda go through the ones that have already showed up just to get a base started. So the returning characters are Beat from Jet Set Radio, Beady Joe from Crazy Taxi with the Crazy Taxi, Ai from Monkey Ball with a possible Monkey Ball style vehicle, Akira from Virtua Fighter to promote the new Virtua Fighter game coming out, and Ulala from Space Channel 5. And these are all the characters that showed up in Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing's Transform, well, say that 5 times fast, and these are going to be the returning ones for this roster. Also, I'm aware that Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transform was supposed to be a crossover racer, but I want these characters back in the Sonic game, and it's my video, so shut up. First few characters here are actually going to be a trio of characters, and here's my reasoning for it. They're all from Atlas, who is owned by Sega. So this is an easy layup. So these 3 characters are Jack Frost, Joker from Persona 5, and Will from ReFantazio. Jack Frost because he is Atlas's mascot, and it would be cool for him to be in a racing game with Sonic. And for the vehicle, he could ride on Mara. Please forget I made that joke. Please! He could have either a Jack Frost or a Black Frost car from the Koro Q Works game that's really old and on the PlayStation 2, and Japanese only. Next, we can put Joker in there because he is technically the most current Persona protagonist since there hasn't been a new one since. I mean, we could put in Makoto, but his game is a remake. Plus, I think Joker would be more fitting because we can have the Morgana car. And lastly, for the Atlas trio, we're going to put in Will from their new smash hit, ReFantazio. I'm going to be upfront, I haven't played the game yet, so if you guys have other options for a ReFantazio rep, please let me know in the comments. Now, we gotta add a Sega classic to this roster, and that's Knights. It's honestly criminal they didn't themselves appear in Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing's Transformed, but this time they gotta show up, and it has to be either in the Relia car or the actual Knights car, whichever one makes sense continuity-wise, because that would literally be peak. And lastly, for the final couple of characters on this list, I think we should have reps from Sega's Golden Cow, Yakuza. The first obvious choice is Kiryu. You might have expected me to say Majima because he's kind of like the goofy, quirky character in the series, but I actually think Kiryu would be a better fit here just to represent Yakuza because he is the face of the franchise. The second choice is also not Majima, but actually Ichiban. I feel since the last 2 games, I mean, aside from the pirate one that just dropped, were Ichiban as the main character. And I see that they're trying to go forward with that in the mainline series. And I feel like he would just be an obvious second choice in this regard. And that's the characters who I feel should be in the new Sonic Racing game. Tell me who you liked, who you disliked, who you would add instead of some of the characters that I had on here. The list is a little self-indulgent, but that was kind of the point. It's the characters I would want in this game. Essentially like, subscribe, comment. Go ahead and tell me what your opinions are on the new game and if you played it or not. Even though I feel that the list is finished, I feel like there's this thing that I'm missing, like a nagging feeling that I just feel that I missed during the creation of this list. Who is it? It starts with an L? I think it's a Lara.